Hello and welcome to Runkle of the Bailey. My name is Ian Runkle. I'm a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer. One persistent internet myth that just won't die is the suggestion that people should use wasp spray for self-defense. You'll see this posted on Facebook or Twitter or so forth, and it's not a good idea. Wasp spray is not effective for use as self-defense. It's not designed for that purpose. In fact, it's designed to be as non-toxic and harmless as they can possibly make it. It's really good against small insects like wasps, but it's bad against people. And people say, how do you know this? Well, there are videos out there of people spraying themselves, but we also have it in a court case. And so this is from the Ontario Court of Justice. This is the case of the King and Joel Mabah. I'm probably mispronouncing that wrong, but it is what it is. So what happens in this case is that the accused sprays a substance from an aerosol can onto a person who resided in the same building as his mother, who was known to him. The spray was believed to be some sort of bug spray. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit because there's some doubt, but I'm pretty confident from the details that they provide that it's a wasp spray. It clouded around the complainant, Ms. Long, and got into her eyes. This occurred outdoors on a neighborhood street where Ms. Long was engaged in conversation with another person from the neighborhood, Mr. Recchia. Mr. Recchia was accordingly a witness to these events. As a result of this incident, Mr. Mabah was charged not with assault, but with administering a noxious substance with intent to aggrieve or annoy. He was also charged with 2 counts of breaching the peace as it relates to a peace bond and probation order he was bound by at the time. So there's some question in this case as to whether it was wasp spray or some other kind of bug spray. One of the witnesses describes it as bee spray, which kind of sounds like a wasp spray. Apparently it's a large can and is described as like a Raid can. So again, that's far more consistent with a wasp spray than it is for like a spray for the other thing that they thought it might be, is like a spray that you apply to repel mosquitoes and so forth. Now, the other reason why I believe this is probably a wasp spray is that actually mosquito spray is far more irritating to eyes and so forth, and I'm not suggesting using it as a self-defense weapon because, again, don't. But wasp spray tends to be far less irritating. And you'll see that that's consistent with what we actually see in this particular case. So what happens is these 2 individuals are having a dispute, and he, like Mr. Mabah, comes up and sprays Ms. Long with the spray. And Mr. Recchia described Ms. Long as being very frantic right after this happened. He said that she had aerosol in her face, so there was immediate discourse, and she proclaimed that this was a continuing thing with the accused. Ms. Long indicated that the spray went on her glasses and into her right eye. She did not think anything got into her left eye. She rinsed her eyes, but did not suffer any injuries or consequences. She wasn't sure what the substance was and worried it would cause damage to her eyeglasses, so she rinsed them out too. She was scared and upset and took a breather in a nearby store. She asked Mr. Recchia to speak to the police about the incident. She explained being more rattled than injured. So, he's charged with administering a noxious substance with intent to aggrieve or annoy under section 245 sub 1 sub b of the Criminal Code. Now, we're going to skip over a lot of the sort of description of what, how the court handles this. They find that spraying does count as administering. It doesn't have to be like injected or ingested, but spraying it onto somebody's skin is sufficient. They compare that to a case where somebody had motor oil poured on their face, and they say, yep, if that's administering, then so's this. Now, the next sort of element of the test is intent to aggrieve or annoy. And in this case, they find that he certainly intended to annoy her, and so that is met. Now, the critical issue here is the noxious substance. Now, the Crown described this as an unknown spray in their description, but it seems likely, as I said, that it appears that it was a wasp spray. And the court goes through a bit of the analysis, and they say, in the circumstances of the present case, therefore, I am unable to find that the substance was noxious. First, I cannot make clear findings on the inherent characteristics of the spray, given that it is not known what the substance in fact was. The can, which was not located, was described as a very large one, like Raid bug spray. Mr. Recchia believed it could be a bee spray, but it's unclear whether it was a repellent spray for topical use to be applied to skin, or a bug killer spray not intended for personal use. Now, they don't make bee sprays that are intended for topical use. That's not a thing. You don't spray yourself to keep bees away. But you do have bee sprays and wasp sprays that are intended to kill the insects. So again, this leads towards my conclusion that it was very likely like a wasp spray sort of thing. They then note, although Ms. Long described a bug spray-like smell, Mr. Recchia did not describe any odor. I must instead draw inferences based on the description of the spray, and in particular its effects, or lack thereof, on Ms. Long. Leaving aside the emotional impact of being unexpectedly assaulted, she was sprayed with the can, the physical effect of the spray was minimal, if non-existent. Indeed, the impact was that Ms. Long was rattled and became frantic. She was upset. She was concerned about the spray damaging her eyeglasses, but this concern does not appear to have materialized. She rinsed her glasses and her eye, not because it was burning, but because she didn't know what the substance was. Indeed, I understand the evidence to be that Ms. Long rinsed her eye as a precautionary measure, once she got home. She did not say that the spray impacted her vision prior to rinsing, even temporarily or partially. She took a breather in a nearby store. In fact, Ms. Long does not describe any sting or burning sensation to her eye, nor did she attribute any redness or irritation to the spray. She indicated that her eye was a little bit red, but that could have been from just rinsing it out. It is also notable that although Mr. Recchia was in conversation facing Ms. Long, he did not experience any contact with the spray or its effects at all. So, they find this guy guilty of breaches of his probation and breaches of a bail condition, but they say that because this substance, which again, I'm pretty sure was a a wasp spray. Pepper spray would have actually done something. But because this substance, which again seems to be a wasp spray, was so ineffective, didn't even cause any irritation, no burning, no difficulty with vision, nothing. It appears she's just kind of a nervous Nelly here a bit and was like, I gotta rinse this stuff out. And I mean, fair enough, right? You get some unknown substance sprayed in your eye, you're like, I'm gonna rinse that out. I don't know what it is. Reasonable. But it appears to be completely ineffective. And this is in fact consistent with videos I've seen and so forth. And I don't want to like poach anyone's copyrighted content or anything like that. But you can find videos of people being sprayed with wasp spray and going, this isn't doing anything to me. Again, this to me sounds like wasp spray and not something like mosquito spray that you spray on yourself to keep mosquitoes away, because mosquito spray actually is at least mildly irritating if it gets in your eyes, whereas this stuff wasn't. So again, please, I am begging you, if you watch this, do not pass along the things suggesting that people use wasp spray as self-defense. It is bad advice. It could get someone hurt or killed. It could get somebody to do something where they feel emboldened to take a risk that they might not otherwise take because they think that the wasp spray they've got on them is going to protect them. Or it could get somebody to choose wasp spray over an effective means of self-defense. So, folks, if you're sharing this stuff out there, I am urging you to take some responsibility for the fact that you should be, if you're suggesting self-defense advice, suggesting good, meaningful self-defense advice. Don't suggest ineffective weapons, don't suggest ineffective tactics, because it could very well hurt somebody who trusts you enough to listen to you. And that's not a good thing. If you're in a place where self-defense sprays are legal, then those are a better choice. They're actually designed for the purpose. They are known to be effective for that purpose. That's a good option. If you're in an area where they're not available, keep in mind that using these kinds of things can result in charges, even Like, this person was charged for the wasp spray, even though it didn't end up having any effect. But if it had had some effect, if it had even mildly irritated this person's eyes, and I mean mildly irritated, not to a degree that would have been effective for self-defense, but just to a degree that would have actually, like, caused their eyes to water or sting or something like that, then they could have faced charges. Self-defense may be a viable defense in those circumstances, but may not. So, again, don't suggest bad tactics. I thought this was an interesting case because it's sort of an actual real-world case example of somebody trying to use this stuff, and it just flubs. So hopefully you found it to be interesting as well, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this to be interesting or educational. Please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe. Apparently there's a hype button. If you've got the hype button, try clicking that. I'm curious as to how that works. But I also want to thank my Patreon supporters. There's a link to that in the description below. Bottle Shock and Oz, Canada's National Firearms Association, this is at the $50 level, PJs Forever, Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights, Canadian Shooting Sports Association, Kyle Fox, Angela Skelton, Purple Dragonair, Cielo, Shay B, and Johan/Phoenix. And at the $20 level, Drunk All of the Baileys, Mark, Andrew Elsich, Larry Kalniak, Cameron Johnson, and Marvin CZ. Thank you as well to my $10 supporters who will be in the crawl immediately following. Thank you for watching. Hope this has armed you with knowledge. See you next time.